If you were a concerned Kansas City Chiefs fan before, then you most definitely are probably a little bit more concerned now. Now, granted, the Chiefs were short-staffed tonight, but it seems like there's a much bigger problem at play here. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. And now that we get all that out of the way, break! This is pretty much free money. We only need to correctly pick 2 squares to 3x our money on PrizePicks.
That's impossible!
And to celebrate the NFL season kicking off, PrizePicks is giving us a free square. All Dak Prescott needs is 1 passing yard in order to fulfill his square. So you combine that with Travis Kelce, who only needs 1 receiving touchdown. This is Old Mike. Old Mike made the mistake of picking Travis Kelce to get 1 receiving touchdown in the season opener. But Travis Kelce is questionable to play versus the Detroit Lions. Thankfully, PrizePicks has reboots. What are reboots? Well, let's say you decide to pick a player who actually plays in the entire first half of the game, and then he gets injured for the entire second half. Well, PrizePicks will count him as a player that didn't play at all whatsoever, and if you made a 3-pick entry, it'll go down to a 2-pick entry, completely disqualifying him from your entry. And since Travis Kelce is out, we're gonna pair Dak Prescott, who
will get 1 passing yard,
with Justin Jefferson, who only needs 1 receiving touchdown, versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to convert. Make sure you use my promo code Mikerophone to double your deposit on your first entry, and to follow me on Instagram to see who I'm picking each and every day. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mike check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I like to give you guys a huge disclaimer. I, myself, am a pretty big fan of Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want you guys to take this as me saying, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs might as well tank for Caleb Williams. That's not the case at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they probably need to tank for Marvin Harrison, if anyone, but that's besides the point. The Chiefs are still in the most enviable position in the entire NFL. When you have your biggest AFC rival, who just signed the biggest contract in NFL history, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Burrow just signed a 5-year, $275 million contract extension that includes $219 million guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid NFL player of all time. And then in comparison, you have Patrick Mahomes, who currently is the 9th highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now. That puts you at a gigantic advantage. And it makes you wonder what the Cincinnati Bengals are about to do, because they still have to pay T. Higgins. I'm assuming Tyler Boyd is going to be traded at some point this season. That's at least my prediction. There's no way you could pay Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. And this isn't anything against Joe Burrow, because at the time that Patrick Mahomes signed his contract extension, he became the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And he has no interest in doing what Deshaun Watson did, where he signs a brand new contract to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL once again.
I've always said I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment. I've made enough money where I'll be set for the rest of my life.
That also puts you in a situation to pay some of your star players. I mean, the number one player that comes to our minds in this particular point is none other than Chris Jones. Up until this point, the number one issue the Kansas City Chiefs had was what were they going to do about Chris Jones? And originally, the problem was very simple. You see, Aaron Donald completely disrupted the defensive tackle market. Quinnen Williams was getting paid about $24 million a year annually. Aaron Donald got paid $31.76 million. Originally, you had Chris Jones saying that he wasn't necessarily looking to beat Aaron Donald's contract. And then out of nowhere, Nick Bosa came and jumped that number by $3 million, making him the highest paid defensive player in the NFL right now. So obviously this complicates things for the Kansas City Chiefs and Chris Jones. The result, well, Chris Jones wasn't available during game 1 versus the Detroit Lions, which is very big and very significant considering the fact that the Detroit Lions' entire game plan is based upon their offensive line dominating the line of scrimmage so they can establish the run with their dynamic running backs. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs had a pretty impressive debut, which opens up the play action for them. It was good enough, and the game plan worked to perfection tonight. And here's the thing, I'm not a huge believer that the NFL scripts games. I think their marketing for this year is hilarious with the whole scriptwriter commercial that they did. But I know for a fact that if the Kansas City Chiefs won tonight, and they were about to win tonight, you would definitely see Twitter flooded with all of the irate Lions fans calling out the refs for not calling enough false start penalties on Jawan Taylor. I mean, they eventually did, but it got so freaking bad and so egregious that they even had Terry McCauley, the designated referee whose job is to explain to all the viewers the nuances and extremely simplistic rules of football during the broadcast. Even he said that the refs were screwing it up. Watch.
Is he legal or not?
Sure, Mike. To be on the line, his helmet has to break the waistline of the center. And to be honest, we've watched him the whole game. He's really not remotely close. And it's really putting the defensive end at a tremendous disadvantage when he can be that far back.
But even with that, the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't win tonight. And it was because of one huge reason. Travis Kelce didn't play tonight. And this is significant because the one man that Patrick Mahomes leaned on the most last year, when it seemed like he couldn't trust any of his wide receivers to make a simple reception, was Travis Kelce. With him being out, especially at the very last minute, the Kansas City Chiefs were in some trouble. But fortunately for them, they selected Rashee Rice in the second round of this year's NFL draft. People said it was a reach, but Rashee Rice had a remarkable debut, scoring a touchdown in his very first game. As a matter of fact, you can make an argument that he was the most successful Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver tonight, in what was a squandered opportunity for the entire Kansas City Chiefs receiving corps, particularly for one person, Kadarius Toney.
Many New York fans mad at me like I ain't really like I don't hold a record over there. Like y'all championship ain't older than my niece and nephew put together. Like, bro, that's on y'all and y'all GM. I don't really shit. Buddy traded me. I just made my move. Well, went with my move and made something out of it. Now I got this ring. Mad at me. Y'all can't get mad because the blue ring. It's a red one with a K and C on that bitch, and I love them folks.
I could go on about Sky Moore. I personally made the horrific mistake of starting Sky Moore over James Cook in fantasy. Meme me in the comment section if you'd like, because I was getting destroyed by my buddies as we were watching the game, so I deserve it. I bought into the hype. Brett Veach said he was going to be starting on every single down. It was going to be different this year. Offender tonight was none other than Kadarius Toney, who I'm sure is more concerned about what Kayvon Ojulari has to say in his DMs.
Well, tell that stop calling me then if you don't miss me. Your put on my DM that you dropping an addict.
Than he is with catching a football. Kadarius Toney had multiple dropped passes where he was wide open and it could have turned the tide of the game. But the worst one had to be where he quite literally gifted the Detroit Lions a touchdown. You can make a very legitimate argument that if this didn't happen, the entire trajectory of the game would have been a little different. I knew something was up early on in this game because Patrick Mahomes was scrambling way more than I was used to seeing him scramble. And as the game continued on, you were watching Patrick Mahomes lose more and more confidence in his wide receiver core, except for Justin Watson. Justin Watson had a pretty phenomenal game. And the good news for Chiefs fans is this can be salvaged. It worked last year, although you did have a better wide receiver core last year because you had Juju Smith-Schuster. But when Travis Kelce is not on this team, then you have a big problem, obviously. So how do you solve this problem in this particular moment? Last year, the Kansas City Chiefs thought that they found their fill-in for Tyreek Hill by trading for a player that was compared to Tyreek Hill, Kadarius Toney. Now, who's a team in a completely different conference who has a wide receiver that may have maybe 2 to 3 years of football left in him that would be willing to trade said wide receiver to a new team, especially in an opposing conference, if they could get a nice little return for said receiver? And this wide receiver needs to be a true wide receiver one. This has to be someone that Patrick Mahomes could depend on. Ideally, this is someone that's played with the Hall of Fame quarterback before and is used to contending for Super Bowls. I wonder if there's a person like that out there.
I'm excited. I'm blessed to be in this position. You know, a lot of people dream of making it to year 10. I'm happy to be here. I feel great. look forward to a great season with the Bucks this year.
Can you address the deadline that your agent set forth?
Yeah, my agent set the deadline. I mean, I'm sure y'all read the statement. Obviously, we've been working with them over a year now, trying to get something done. Any player in my position would want to be, solidified and secure. But if the deal's done or not, either way, we'll be okay. And I'm looking forward to having a great season this year.
Do you think there will be a deal done?
I don't know. We got a little bit of time left, but we'll see.
If there isn't a deal done, would you still be open to returning next season?
Ownership and management are going to do what they feel is best for the team and the team's future, and I'm going to do what's best for me and my future. And right now, that's just playing some good ball.
Until our next upload.